Hi, Joe Cochran here from ComfortTac, and today is Thursday, February 15th, and this is another episode of Becoming a Better Shooter. Today we're going to go ahead and take my 5 shots from concealment, take 5 shots from the low ready position, compare the times today from last week, see if we've made some improvement, and then once we're done with that, I'm going to go over with you what I worked on in this last week to hopefully get some improvement on the times. So let's go ahead and get started and just see what we can shoot, and then we'll go to the board. We'll talk about what I worked on. .205. .188. 1.78. 2.06. 1.76. All right, now we'll go from the low ready position. .84. 0.84. 0.86. 0.87. 0.81. All right, we've got our shots. Let's go to the board. We'll compare the numbers between this week and last week, and then we'll talk about what I worked on this last week to get these improvements. Okay, so here we are at the board, and we can see that we had some really good improvement week over week. So I want to go over exactly what the numbers were and then how we got there this week. So if we compare last week's average from concealment, we were at 2.182, and this week we were at 1.906. So we dropped below our target of under a 2-second draw. And then, so we picked up 0.276 seconds, or almost 0.3 of a second on the average here. From the low ready position, we were really consistent. 0.84, 0.84, 0.86, 0.87, 0.81, giving us an average of 0.844. If we compare that to last week, we were at 1.39, 0.98, 1.11, 1.07, 1.20, 1.15. And I had mentioned that we actually went backwards 0.03 of a second from the week before, where we were at an average of 1.116. So we were at 1.15. And again, comparing that to 0.844, we picked up 0.3 of a second at an improvement of 0.306. So you can see that our improvement from holster is directly related to the improvement from the low ready position. And so this is what I worked on pretty much all week. What I found was that when I would drive the gun out, quite often I was all over the place. I would get out there and the gun would kind of bobble around, and I would struggle to find my sights and find the target. And what I found was I actually had to slow down to speed up. And so I'm gonna show you here what I was working on. So we're still got our training gun here with the red tip. What I was doing the week before from the low ready position here, I would shoot the gun out, and because I just didn't have the reps in, what would happen is I would shoot it out and I would I would be off here somewhere, or I would be bobbling around, and I just couldn't get the sights lined up quickly on the target. So all I worked on this week was just slowing that down. And instead of trying to drive the gun out hard and then find the sights, which is what I was doing, I started just slowly driving out and picking up that sight a lot earlier when I would get onto the full extension, or when I would get out to full extension. So instead of driving it and then trying to find the sight, I was picking up the sight here. I start to see it right about here, and making sure that I was all in line at that last second, and so I could get it out and pull the trigger. Get it out, pull the trigger. And just that little tweak alone picked up this speed. So again, I slowed down to speed up, and it was pretty interesting because I was able to pick that up off of video, kind of looking at myself. I was driving right to the camera, and I could see that I was all over the place. And so, you know, I just started slowing down. And in my training session on, I think it was Tuesday, where I'm driving out, I started timing it, and I just went really slow. The first one, I took 2 seconds, and then 1 second, and then I started moving a little faster and just getting that repetition in, and all of a sudden I was pretty consistently hitting 0.8. And when I really started to drive faster, I was actually getting down to that 0.6, almost 0.5. I had a few in like the 0.58, 0.57 range, but I started missing. And so I realized that now that I start missing at that speed, I need to slow down and get more reps in at the 0.8 second speed, and just keep that driving, and eventually that muscle memory start to kick in, and I'll be able to pick up the speed. So my guess is, you know, just over this 4-week session, you can see that I've basically picked up almost, more than half of a second, going from 2.466 on the first session down to 1.906 just a couple sessions later. I kind of figured this is going to be kind of like losing weight, whereas in the first month you're going to see big gains, and then, you know, the next 60 days will probably be less. The next 60 days will start to taper off, maybe you'll hit some plateaus, and from there it's going to take work to see big improvements. But what I wanted to show you in this series was that in a pretty short amount of time, you can shave a half a second off your draw speed just with a little bit of focus. And again, I encourage you to use a camera like I did and just pick apart where things are going wrong. You could see in the early videos, my draw from the holster, I was all over the place with the upper body, and then I tightened that up, and that gave me a nice improvement here. Then this last week, I could see that when I drove the gun out, I was all over the place, and I tightened that up, and that was able to give me this improvement here. And I'm going to keep recording my sessions and keep looking into the technique that I'm using, and just see where I can pick up some more time. And from here, if I can shave another 1/4 of a second just with muscle memory and practice, then that'll get me down very consistently below that 2 seconds, and maybe get into closer to that 1.5 seconds. All right, so thanks for watching. If you'd like to support our channel, head on over to ComfortTac.com, pick up a holster. We've got a nice line of belly band holsters, inside the waistband holsters, ankle holsters, fanny pack holsters, everything you need for concealed carry.